Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd crawl to the camera and make a last week in BookTube video, even though I feel like a barrel of toxic sludge, and I will probably look and sound like one as well, because there was a lot I saw last week that I wanted to talk about. For those of you who are new to this feature on my channel, this is when I talk about uh, a handful of highlights from what I watched in BookTube the previous week. I'm sure I missed a lot. This isn't meant to be comprehensive at all, and it of course flows along the channels of my own interests. Uh, but I wanted to point out, of course, first the general trends. I want to start and finish with general trends. There was there were two extremely bookish trends that sort of filled especially the end part of October. And that one was reaction videos to the announcement of the winner of the Man Booker Prize for 2016, which was The Sellout by Paul Beatty. And the other, of course, since it's the end of the month, was October wrap-ups and November TBRs. There were tons and tons of the latter video, especially, and they were all fascinating to watch. I don't mean to give short shrift to such things at all. I absolutely love it when people put up, a sort of measure taking of what they did and didn't do in October and what they plan to do in November or any month. And that sort of goes along with one of the non-wrap-up videos that I wanted to mention, and it's the mighty Ariel Bissett, who did a video called "Should We Always Track Our Reading?", in which she talks about the numbers obsession on BookTube and also Goodreads, that they're charting how much urban fantasy they read, how many YA novels they read. They're keeping track of gender and sexuality and country of origin and even point of view. The spreadsheetification of reading that I think Goodreads has done a lot to encourage. And her video was a kind of a push against that, and I sort of agree with that. That shouldn't be an overriding obsession when it comes to reading. That would be unhealthy. Although I should point out that I read 116 books in October of 2016, so I am to some extent keeping count. And then when we look back on October, there was also a wonderful video from One Book, One Reader. She does a series where she writes a letter to the previous month. She did a letter to October, and it's gorgeous. They're wonderful, wonderful videos. Of course, an American caught in the death throes of our presidential election in October. If an American paying attention to such a thing would write a letter to October, it would be full of expletives. But she has the benefit of not being an American, so she doesn't have to worry about it quite so much. But I strongly urge you to go and look at the video, because it's always a wonderful job. It's always a delight when she does that. And then Marlinelina did a video on. It's interesting. She's noticed that she's been on BookTube for 4 years, and she did a video on how to make your channel sustainable over time. She noticed that there are a lot of videos on how to start a channel, but not quite so many, to put it mildly, on how to keep one going over a length of time. And one of the things that she addressed was a shifting of interest. That one of the things you should do to keep your channel sustainable is to shift your content with your interest. Don't pigeonhole yourself and then feel like you have to keep making videos along the same theme that you laid out to begin with. Now that was in general good advice, although a little incomprehensible to me, since I'm not really sure how anyone's interest could drift away from books. And yet I know that it happens, because that has to explain why so many booktubers, really good ones, have stopped making videos, and why even a lot of the ones who haven't stopped making videos have started making videos about their gardening adventures, or just pausing to talk about their lives in general. And I find those videos fascinating, but you don't have to worry about them on this channel. I have an endless fascination with books, and there are far too many books for me to feel comfortable talking about anything else. So Uh, but her video was really good. It didn't just talk about shifting emphasis. It also talked about uh, the thing that shouldn't shift, which is the core value of your channel. What is your core value? Is it open discussion? Is it honest critique? Even is it chasing after numbers, after viewers, after subscribers? That no matter what it is, you should be honest about it and stick to it. And I really like that. With advice like that, I don't think you can go wrong. And there was also talking about core values. Chris Rhodes at the Reading Rhodes started a new series that I just can't praise high enough. I thought the first one was wonderful. It's called Rhodes Reading, and it's where he simply reads for the video, reads a short story, or I imagine in the future it could be anything, right? A chunk of something. It's done really well. It worked really well, and I admit that surprised me a little. Chris is just a tiny bit of a fast talker, and I have seen him. I have heard him do whole paragraphs in one breath of one enunciated sentence. So I was thinking, originally I was thinking that Rhodes reading would be painful, but instead it was absolutely wonderful. In this case, he did The Star by Arthur C. Clarke. So in terms of the quality of what he's reading, he has nowhere to go but up. But again, I strongly urge you to go and look at it. It's an amazing innovation, a wonderful thing to do. And I wanted to finish up these little itemized things with Adam at Mementomori, who announced his one-man readathon, which is called Cozy Corner Earl Grey Spookalicious Non-Nonfiction Basic Bitchathon. And I think I speak for all of BookTube when I say that it was right when watching this video that I formally began to worry about Adam. I'll be checking in with him regularly. But the two thematic things, the bigger thematic things that I wanted to end on, are both connected with November, with the upcoming month. There are two things that are going to be on my mind quite a bit coming up. The first one is Nonfiction November, which is an event hosted by Gemma at Nonfic Books and Olive at A Book Olive, in which they encourage you all to read more nonfiction in November. They give you 4 very broad, very basic challenges for categories of nonfiction to read, but they also encourage you just to read anything, any more nonfiction than you usually do. It doesn't have to be those challenges. It doesn't have to be 4 books. It could be just 1 if you never read nonfiction, especially if you always want to. And I will be doing a lot of that for November. In fact, I've decided, as I announced on this channel the other day, that I'm going to read nothing but nonfiction in November. Even the stuff that I don't talk about on this channel, still, I'm just going to read nonfiction in November. I'll use it as a chance to catch up, clean the decks on a lot of the nonfiction that I have hanging around that I've meant to read, and also just read the Dickens out of forthcoming nonfiction. That was one big general thing. And the other big general thing for November, of course, is NaNoWriMo. That's National Novel Writing Month, in which tens of thousands of people from all over the world try to write a 50,000-word first draft of a novel in 1 month by doing 1,667 words a day minimum to try and get it done. I'll be making a few videos on NaNoWriMo, but other people have been too. There was, in addition to TBRs for Nonfiction November, there were also a lot of advice videos for NaNoWriMo. I don't know how to make a playlist. There are quite a few, though, that I would like to recommend. I'll try to put some of them down below. But one I wanted to point out is our very own P.T. Hylton, a self-published author here on BookTube, who did a NaNoWriMo video called Start Before You're Ready. And he admits that that's a kind of TED Talk-esque title, but still, the video is really good. He himself tends towards being a pantser. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the terminology, with NaNoWriMo terminology, the camps of NaNoWriMo are split in 2. There are the plotters, who decide what they're going to write and plot it out ahead of time. And there are the pantsers, short for seat of the pantsers, who just sit down and write as they go along and let the mood take them. And he leans much towards being a pantser, and this video is really good, less woo-woo kind of approach to thinking about it that way. It was really, really worth your time to watch. Also, he was also there were countless really good book reviews during the week. He did one on Underground Airlines that I'll link to as well. But his NaNoWriMo thing is worth your time to watch, especially if you're on the fence and might be considering trying NaNoWriMo. I strongly urge you to try NaNoWriMo. But I'll be talking about that in future videos if I live to make them. Who knows? Could go either way at this point. Thank you, BookTube, and goodbye.